Whoa, we're live. Whoa! You are looking live at the GovCast, California, the Super Bowl. Dre, Eminem, Snoop this weekend. NFL gets in trouble. Woo! See, I mix it up. Everybody see, I'm in mix-up mode. See, look at that. See, all that audience. No one got that. Like no one. I didn't give anybody a heads up. I'm throwing new music down in our new branding. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the GovCast. I don't know how many more times we're called the GovCast. We're looking for a new name as we pivot, and for those you missed last week, as we start to kind of talk about, expand, and really look at how to create success for folks. And so that really is where we're going with this LinkedIn Live. And so as we rebrand and make things happen, super excited about that. Want to welcome Mike Danker to the show.
Yee.
I see. What do you got?
How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just trying to get over this mega cold I got. So hopefully, try not to. I said I'm not trying not to. Won't sneeze, won't cough. So also one of the big things. Thanks for coming to the show, Mike. One of the big things we start this year with, we actually have a sponsor going forward, which is super exciting.
Yes.
We're moving up in the world, the top 1 million LinkedIn Lives. That gets us a sponsor. And so our sponsor for the show is I.Help. So if you've not heard of I.Help, it literally is going to be the platform everybody's going to use in this new virtual work environment. So you know when you used to go to do stuff and you have all you go to a show or you'd have your business card, all this stuff and give it out. Well, now listen, I.Help aggregates all of your online stuff into one spot. So that would be, like every day we're on these web conferences, if you're doing online scheduling, all of your social media connections, your website, it takes electronic payments. Somebody can call, text, email you from I.Help. It literally is one place to put all of your digital stuff. Because, we've all had that thing. We meet somebody, we're like, oh, here's my social media, and then here's my email, and here's my stuff. So imagine walking up to somebody and be like, hey, just go to I.help/Jack or Jack Siney, and all of your stuff is there for them to connect in one spot. It will be the tool of tools going forward in this new virtual workplace.
Jack, it's funny that I think about like going to a trade show or even when you're out at a networking event, and our entire world is digital and virtual now. Yeah. And I'm limited on a little square piece of paper to hand you called my business card, little rectangle that says, it's the most non-fluid thing I could possibly hand you. And then to really catch up, I can put a QR code on there. Well, we're leaping ahead of all of that, trying to put Band-Aids on a piece of paper. We just said, hey, let's give them a presence basically on the web. Yeah. That says here I am, and here is all about me or my presence or my company, my brand, my image, whatever it is you're trying to push out there. This becomes the hub, right, of your existence, and everything is fluid now. Something changes. Now I'm not going to the print shop. I'm not going to go order. I'm just going to go make a couple changes, and now my page my hub is completely up to date.
It's amazing. It's like one of those ideas when you see it, you're like, why didn't I have that before? So encourage you to go to I.Help. It's amazing. Literally, and I think it's $5 a month. You set up, you can put it totally customized, all the things you want, don't want. It's amazing. I.Help will be our sponsor for the entire year. I couldn't recommend that platform more. It's amazing. For $5 a month to have all your stuff, everything that you are online. And again, you're right, Mike, we no longer have the business card because we're not at a show for the most part. You can't get them a flyer. It's just to send in the bottom of your email, hey, go to I.help/Jack Siney or any URL you want, and all your stuff's there. Amazing. I.Help. Thank you so much for sponsoring the show. Super.
Thank you, I.Help.
Yes. Now we're making the big money. We're crossing over. So, hey, if you saw the promos for the show, it'll be a little deeper intellectually than what we normally do. It's kind of like, hey, are you trying to achieve success? Anybody on LinkedIn that spends any time there, that's really the heart of what we're trying to get done, right? Like I'm trying to achieve success. And what's the secret of that? And why do people struggle? And so that's really going to be the focus of the show, get a little deeper philosophically. But I'm super excited about today's show. But before we get to that, I wanted to wrap up last week we spent an inordinate amount of time, for some reason, talking about Tom Brady and both his amazing success, but also his struggle with finding peace. And so I went after the show and pulled some things. And so one of the things, this quote came up after, it was in 2005. He had just won his 3rd Super Bowl, and he's being interviewed on 60 Minutes. So I think we have the graphic at the production. You can bring it up. And so he's been interviewed, and he has this quote. You're like, what makes you keep going? He goes, there's got to be more than this. There's got to be more than this. Again, this guy reached the pinnacle not once, 3 times. Folks were always talking about him, already talking about him being the greatest quarterback ever. And he's in this 60 Minutes interview. We'll put the link to the entire interview in the comments. But that resonates so much because folks talk about having success. We strive, we stretch. You think, oh, once I reach the pinnacle, it'll be all I thought it would be. And here's this guy who made it to the top of the top. And this quote comes out of him. There's got to be more than this. And so that's really the foundation of today's show, and really where we want to take this LinkedIn Live going forward, because folks are chasing things in the world, like some promotion or some amount of money or some house or some car. And there you see one of the most famous people in the world achieve the top of the mountain and still is wondering, right, Mike?
You know, there's an ancient proverb that says the leech cries out more, more, more. It's just, there's just this thing that's eating at us all the time, says more, more, more. And when you're chasing more, there's no peace. There's just the chase. And it's this more is the closer you get to it, the more elusive you realize it is, right? When you think more is the key, more of anything, you're going to realize you're going to feel like you grabbed a hold of it, and you're going to realize there was no peace when you found it.
Yeah. And it really is all the things, like we are bombarded. We all know this. It's just sometimes we need somebody to step back. If you turn on the TV or now the internet, you are bombarded, especially with the internet now, because they're tracking you, right? What you click on, whoop, now it's on your Facebook page, your Instagram. They're watching you. The Google folks are watching you all the time. So it's not coincidence. And it seems like Siri is too. So whatever you say, they're coming and they pop it in front of you. And we are either subliminally or certainly purposely from the contractor or the company side told, here's what will make you happy. If you just have this purse, if you have this car, with this Botox treatment, with this wrinkle cream, with this set of things, if you drive this, if you go to the game, it will fulfill you. And it's such a false bill of goods. And so I just thought that was a great lead in. That wasn't the plan for last week's show to spend so much time on Tom Brady, but love that quote. And so you've actually seen him grow over the years too. You've seen him become a much more personable, team-oriented person, which is really going to tie into this thing we're going to talk about today, which is, hey, what is the secret to success? Like, what's the first step in success? And so that's the little graphic we had. Like, folks, again, on LinkedIn are always like, oh, I want to achieve. I see whoever your person of choice, Gary Vee or Grant Cardone or whoever you love and follow has had so much success. Hey, how did they get there? Like, and just being really open before we jump into it, I went through that, felt that as well too. You know, you watch people and like, how did they get there? And again, we have to remember the things we see in public are such a small minutia of what's happening in someone's life, right? Most people publicly only show the good things. And it's like all these things that happen in their life on maybe not the most positive, really do folks share that publicly, right? There's all these things of how to get to success. And so just want to remind folks that it doesn't always look as easy and simple as it seems. But we want to talk about, hey, what is the secret of success and what that first step would be, right?
Well, I think when we look at the world and we see people outside, or especially on camera on the internet, we see such a thin slice of their life, right? We see their best slice, but we're not going to see the rest, right? It's so rare that we see the rest other than their best slice. And if they've had any success at all, they've got a whole team of people making sure that we only see their best slice, right?
Yeah, we got people around.
If the best slice starts to get a little fuzzy, they've got people to fix that too.
You know what's funny? Quick sidebar, not related to the show at all. the Dolphins, obviously, the Dolphins, Mike Dolphin fan, hired their new coach the other day. Yes, the day before yesterday. But I don't know if you saw any of the press on that guy yesterday. It was like the PR people at the Dolphins dropped the ball because that guy's he's a little quirky. They posted some videos online that make him look even quirkier. I'm like, who is this new dude? So sometimes the PR people, not diligent enough. But yeah, I digress. Just equal time, Mike. If we do Tom Brady, we got to mix in some Finns talk, right?
Well, absolutely. Thank you for equal billing. But one of the things that I think Tom, as we bridge off of Tom Brady a little bit, but one of the things that was always remarkable about him is he would take a pay cut for the betterment of his team. There's a lot of people that are at his level that aren't taking a pay cut for anything, right? No, you figure out who else you take less money. And he took pay cuts because he understood that somebody said this to defend a quarterback once. Quarterback's wife says he can't throw it and catch it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's true. And Brady knew that as well as anybody. Like, listen, I can throw the ball, but I can't catch it and I can't block. And so unless people are blocking and catching and tackling on the other side of the ball when I'm on the bench, this isn't going to work. And so it can't be all about he got it. He was a team player, even in the pocketbook, which is where a lot of us really, if we're going to stumble, that's where it hurts.
It's funny, just small data point. That was actually Giselle, how you say her name. That was Tom Brady's wife said that after the Ravens beat the Patriots. First time ever. The Ravens went into Foxborough, beat them, and that's what she said after the game. Very frustrating because they had a lot of drops and what have you. So very interesting. So as we dive into this, hey, what is the secret of success? Again, if you're looking for the McDonald's answer, this is not it. But I want to spend a little time diving into this topic because it really, I know. Look, I mentioned that last week. Parker put up a thing. The man in the arena. It's amazing. That documentary that's online right now. Highly, highly, highly recommended. It's amazing. But if you talk about the secret to success, one time I said to my sales team, I said, I have the secret to sales, and they were all tuned in one Monday morning. And I'm like, it was some of the most basic stuff. But this is a little deeper than that, a little more intellectual. But when you talk about the secret of success, what's the first step? This quote struck me. It's been sticking with me for a while. It's from C.S. Lewis. And it says, you have to give up yourself to find your real self. You may have heard it, kind of flippantly said, you have to lose yourself to find yourself. And so when I say that that's somewhat deep, it's like, if you hear that, you're like, what does that really mean? And so I would just say this, the foundation of success is to not pursue all that stuff that New York and the marketing companies and Hollywood's throwing at you. It literally is trying to look outside yourself, right? And find, there you go. Yep. Oh, thanks for that quote. There you go. Find what other people you impact that will create the fulfillment. Because here's the thing, we're all searching for peace. That's what we're looking for. Like, no matter what, you think people feel like, oh, I had the house, the car, the perfect spouse, all the money, hit the lottery. It's really not it. None of that. It's so passing, like Tom Brady said. Like, once you've had it, after you've had it for a week, after you've hit the lotto, believe it or not, after you won the lotto 2 months later, you return to your life. And we all search for, everyone searches for, is to put your head on the pillow in a peaceful way. That's what we're searching for. Without the knot in the stomach, without worrying, not worrying about someone's health during COVID, worrying about your finances, worrying about your career, worrying about your love life, whatever it is. We all desire, the number one desire in the heart and soul is to put your head on the pillow, have a meal without a care in the world in a peaceful fashion. That's what it's about, right? That's the success part, is finding that time in life when you have peace and you can put your head on the pillow and almost not have anything to think about. That's what we're striving for. That's what you have to give up yourself to find your real self. It's about looking outside all those superficial things and figuring out what gives you peace.
It's amazing that I always talk about, I'm not a boater, but for some reason I always talk about what's coming across the bow of your boat because you can look any direction at any kind of media and it'll tell you the problems of the world. And you can get wrapped around the axle, but you can also stay detached from those problems, right? You can say, oh, the problems, but they're not your problems. But if you turn your life and say, listen, I'm going to help the people that are in my midst. I'm going to work with the people that are in my midst, and I'm going to absorb my problems with their problems. I'm going to be a community, but community means I take their stuff, right, and the good and the bad of it, and it becomes part of me and my identity. And so, it's funny. I'm reminded of Zig Ziglar. Zig always says, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll always be able to get what you want.
Yeah.
And that was, it might have been said in a pure sales mentality, but as I studied Zig over the years, he was a really top-notch human being. And I would say that I bet Zig meant more that if you want to have a rich life, you need to help other people live a rich life. And if you help them get to a better place, then you're going to find yourself in a better place.
Yeah, listen, and it's so counterintuitive, right? Because I think when folks watch this on replay, they're like, oh, I saw your thing. What's the secret? And you're like, oh, I want to look outside and help someone else. It's so counterintuitive. And we'll have some other quotes and some things. But the one analogy I would just use that folks are so familiar with, that our armed services figured out a long time ago. When you join the military, right? I started my career working as a civilian with the Navy and had the opportunity to sit with a lot of those folks. And most of you have heard about the Navy SEAL training. The thing that the military does amazingly well, besides go to war here in the US, is they train and build people. They have that down. And when the first thing they do when you join the service is literally take everything that you show up with, which is your identity, some type of ego, whatever it is, and they break you down to your base level. That's what boot camp, all the stuff in the Navy SEAL training is about. Hey, how do I get down to the raw you, right? Like physically, mentally. And then the secret is, how do we rebuild you? Like for those older folks, like the $6 million man, like how do we rebuild you so that you are other focused and you see, oh, I'm great at this, but if I just do this, I'm only getting so far. But look, I got Bob next to me and he can do this. I got Susan next to me, she can do that. Oh, I got Tim and I got Mary. And all of a sudden you're like, ooh, collectively, look how crazy the things we can do. And that's how companies are built. That's how careers are built. That's how all the people that we follow, they're all associated with a great team around them because they realize, ooh, I see in other people the things I don't have, and I'm humble enough, I'm smart enough, and I'm aware enough to know I need those people around me. And it's building that thing, like Mike said, I'm going to help them grow so that we all grow. That's the first step in success. It's not, let me go do it myself. If I could just lock in, if I just get this degree, if I just do my thing, it's actually that will leave you totally frustrated. I
read a book called Wikinomics, and it's a little bit outside of my comfort zone. It's just it wasn't an easy read. And as I read that book, the thing that pulled me in, it said, none of us is as smart as all of us. None of us is as smart as all of us. And it pulled me in. I read 300 pages. You know what I mean? It was like, I got to read the rest of this. And
you audioed or did you read?
I read it.
Ah.
I got the hardcover. I do not have that on audio, but I have listened to more books than I've read, no doubt about it. But I listen to them at 1.5 to 2.0, depending on how deep the content is. So rate of speed. But when you think about this concept, another quote that I heard was, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you have to go together.
Yeah.
Because when you're going fast, there is a speed bump or an obstacle coming that you can't get through, over, or around alone.
Yeah.
And if you're young enough to say, I haven't hit that yet, you're just not old enough yet. It's coming. And so, and if you don't, and here's the cool thing, Jack, you and I are sitting around trying to consider with our audience, how can I gain what you gain from going to Paris Island for, I think boot camp in the Marines is 6 months, whatever it is. And I've read detailed, descriptions, another book I read, right? A detailed description of what it's like. And the letters, it was from a dad and his son. And the letters started out with 3 sentences. And then the deeper he got into boot camp, they became almost written grunts. They were 4 words and they were mailed out. And Dad, I don't know when I'm ever going to be able to, I don't know if I'm going to live, Dad. And so but what's so interesting is, listen, they did that for a purpose. to break down the self, to get the self was in the way of them being all they can be, right? You know, the few, the proud, the Marines, be all you can be, join the Army. All of that is but you're going to sign up, show up, and they're going to break you down to get you out of the way so that your best can truly come out.
Yeah.
Right. And that C.S. Lewis quote when it said the real you is better. It's better than the one that's stopping up the pipe.
Yeah.
Right. But you got to get that one out of the pipe so you can get flow through your life. And what's flow? Other people, right? The good things that are coming into your life are flowing into the people around you.
Yeah. And I would just share with our audience, it's not your fault. It's not our fault. We're wired. Our parents did the best they could. But for most of us, I think it's quick sidebar as I was saying that. It's like so funny. People are like, you don't know what I've been through. It's like, if you read anybody's autobiography, everybody's been through stuff. One of my things on LinkedIn is make lemonade. One of my hashtags is make lemonade. It's like, everyone has to make lemonade. When your life hands you lemons, you got to make lemonade. That's everybody. All like this thing, like, oh, they had it made. Whatever. I was going to say, the former president. Oh, he had it made. It's like, okay. But listen, you have to do things to make it happen. Right. So all that stuff. But like when we are challenged to be successful, it's so important that we are able to go down that path. So we have this graphic from Simon Sinek, which I love. This quote is so true, right? When we help ourselves, we find moments of happiness. That's true, right? That's what we've really been talking about. But when we help others, we find lasting fulfillment. And that's really what everyone's searching for, right? I would just say if you've not had a big success in your life, it passes so quickly. You can just go read about people that have had it. The moment I can, I have some personal ones. You get it. I went to got my MBA. I got the best job I ever thought. And like 2 days later, you're like, spent 3 years chasing that. And it is that other thing. It's like, what at your core, what do you really, really, really want to get done? And how do other people fall into that? Because we've all heard that thing like success is lonely or things at the top are lonely. Success or life at the top doesn't have to be lonely. There's a lot of people up there. But typically, your journey could be a little lonely because not everyone wants to make those choices. Not everyone can be a Navy SEAL. Not everyone's going to make it, the big time in life. And I'm not sure about financially, whatever. Maybe your calling is to work with kids. Maybe it's in ministry. It's not just about money. It's about, are you super happy with your life and peaceful when you put your head on the pillow? And very few people get that. Very few. And if you are focused on it, you may have to go life alone for a little while, right? But when you do, you start to aggregate the other ones that are like that. And always, like those people get together. It's not odd that they all, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson, they all know each other because they all run the same circle. Those pictures we always see, like the politicians say crappy things about each other, but they're all in the same pictures because they're all running in the same circles, right?
When it costs $100 million to join your club, you and I aren't going to be there yet. Yeah. Right. There's only so many faces that you get to pass in the crowd.
Yeah.
But when that Simon Sinek quote, it reminds me really what I think what drives me every day in my life is my funeral. I think about my funeral, and I think the first half of his quote is, listen, if I'm thinking about the guy in the box or the guy in the urn, I'm going to have moments of happiness. But if I'm living my whole life about not thinking about who's in the box or in the urn, but the people that are showing up at the funeral, right? I live my life, I hope, right, that I have standing room only at my funeral. And I hope it's at a big place. I hope I have people that say I need to buy a plane ticket to go see Denker's funeral. And that's not arrogant but that's what motivates me. I think the quality of my life, that's the mark of it, right? An empty funeral is the mark of a life poorly lived, right? But a crowded funeral and listen, a real good quality funeral means there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, even though they'll call it a celebration, right? That means you lived well, right? You lived so well that your death left a void, right? How can you live so well that your death will leave a void, hopefully momentary, right? I mean, I know that other people are coming and the people ahead of me are picking up, but how awesome is it that if you died, that the people that you love the most, they're going to sense a void in their lives because you're gone.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's what we're talking about today is how do we leave that mark in this earth, in this existence? And the way you do it is you got to make your mark on other people. And how do you do that? It's through them.
I think it's this breakdown and what's important to you. And a couple of things I just want to hit upon. One is if you're not sure that what's on TV today, I mentioned to Mike a little while back, I've got sucked into all these subsistence shows. There's people that go up to Alaska or out in the wherever in the middle of nowhere, and they don't have jobs, and they just live a subsistence lifestyle. And I look at them like, I could never do that. And now they're filming them, right? So some of it's, for TV, I get it. But those folks have decided I don't need the car and the fancy house and what have you. I want the freedom to live my life every day. Wake up. I don't have a job. I don't have a 9-to-5 pull. I got to get up. I got to get my water. I got to find my meal. I don't have a grocery store around the corner. And so you see amazingly great joy in these people. They're like, yep, I don't have any of the pressure and I love it. And that is someone that went through the process and they were like, I don't need all these things. I want to have control of my life where I control what I do every day. And it's one real world example of folks making that conscious decision, right? Of, hey, I'm going to what makes me really happy. It's not the stuff that I see on TV all the time. It's me just enjoying nature and, finding out what I get to do and having total control of my schedule. An amazing thing. And I don't think anyone would be like, oh, that person's super successful, but they're super peaceful. You watch those folks. I'm obsessed. I watch them. I couldn't do it, by the way. I'm not an outside camper person, but.
I was going to say, Jack, you and I have to find another way to peace and harmony because it ain't going through. It won't be in sub 30, sub-zero weather. It's not happening.
I have two more then. So then over the last week or so, I heard this quote as well, which was, there's nothing new, but it really resonated with me because the way the person laid it out, it's like, hey, what are you scared of? And so much for highly driven people that we talk athletes, it's like, what are you scared of? And what's interesting, one of the people, the reason that question stuck with me when I heard it, one of the person's response was, I have the fear of having nothing, and that steals my hopes and dreams. And so it was so interesting. The person was so driven by not having anything around them. They were obsessed by it. And it just struck me because inevitably when you talk about people that are passing away, and they talk about, oh, what would I have done differently? No one says, I wish I had more stuff. They're always like, oh, I wish I would have spent more time with my grandkids. I wish I would have hugged my wife more. I wish I would have, walked on the beach longer. And so, again, it's been done. We don't have to guess about it. No, it's all been said and done. That hey, it's really not the stuff. That fear of not having stuff is ridiculous. It is, hey, who is in my life, and was I able to connect with them? What impact did they have on me, and what impact did I have on them?
It's interesting that I looked at my goal list from probably early 90s. Before my kids were really little, or I don't even think I had all my kids yet, but it looked like a shopping list. My goal list was just stuff. It was like, I want this, I want this, I want this. Well, now my kids are old enough that they're having kids. And so, it's all relational now. You look at my vision board, my list, it's me doing stuff with other people. It's me working with other people. It's me getting a message to other people. It's spending more time with other people. It's gone from totally physical stuff to totally relational people. And it's, I just see that. And I think that's maturity, right? That we've realized that the stuff, like you said, that I don't know but when you have a new car, you kind of close the door faster because you love that new car smell. It's like, close the door. Yeah. You're going to let the new car smell out, because it's fleeting, right? It doesn't matter how quick you close the door. There's going to be a day you get in the car and you go, it's gone.
Dog is in the car too much. Yep.
Yeah. And so it's interesting but the relationships, I was going to say the smell of love. It's February. It's Valentine's Day next Monday.
Wow.
You got 4 shopping days left if you're not paying attention. But when you think about that there's just something about when you love other people and other people love you, that you do hit the pillow much differently than when you feel like the world's against you and everything's against you and everything's upside down. And I think I talked about the people around you and loving them, but we need to be intentional. We need to be intentional about which people we're going to allow to influence us. And because, listen, we're going to help some people that are down, and we're going to try to help them up, and they don't want to come up.
You know what the best part with that, who's great at that is Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits. I don't know if you've ever gone through that, but in that paradigm, they make you pick out your roles, And then not only what your roles are, like father, spouse, employer, whatever, teammate, if you're on a sports team, and then it makes you each day put action items under those. So very intentional. They're like, hey, if your desire is to be a great father, you can't let that go 4 days and go, it's not like working out the gym. Today I didn't interact with my children at all. Like that's not being a great father, right? So 7 Habits lays that out really well. What are your roles? And then what actions are you taking daily to make sure that you're good in those roles, right?
And so that's so beautiful, Jack, because I know as a dad, the things that because my kids remember now. The kids are in the late 20s, early 30s. They're remembering, right, the good things about dad. And very rarely is it the big trip we planned, right? Very rarely is it that giant event. They remember these, it's really the consistency. And the cool thing is the consistency takes 5 minutes a day. It's pitiful how little it takes to be consistent and how we're inconsistent. Like it takes so little. And I remember traveling, how many times my kids busted me on the phone. I'm trying to be consistent, but I'm distracted by something, the TV or the email or whatever. And they're like, and they got to where they busted me once in a while. They'd be like, Dad, I just asked you a question. What's the answer? Ooh, and because the old, yeah, sounds good, son. Yeah, that's great, daughter. It falls short because you checked out. But checking in for 5 minutes a day with another human being, if you do that consistently, they will acknowledge you as one of the most powerful influences in their life, good or bad.
Yeah,
good or bad, you will be one of the most powerful influences in their life.
Yeah, I don't want to end the show and be like, well, good luck with that deep thought, right? So it's I would say in this search for peace. The one paradigm I'd love to share that somebody who came out of the recovery world is this paradigm always sits with me as you start the process, right? And you're like, hey, how does that work? And how do I become a little less self-centered and I'm always on my mind, right? I would just say the paradigm, if you look at it and you're on a street, your job as you go down the road of success is to make sure your side of the street is as clean as possible, right? It's all the little things to like, hey, you can't answer for and account for anyone else, right? Whether they're angry or if they do something or somebody else did something to you or somebody's unethical or this happened or whatever you see on TV. But you can make sure your side of the street, it's just the small things like, hey, am I doing my thing today? Was I honest, open, loving, reaching out to communicate? Is your side of the street clean as it could be? Because again, I think today's media, as we chase success, it's a lot of looking out. And I think a lot of type A's are really good at going, oh yeah, Billy, super successful, but an a-hole. Oh, Susan, yeah, she did this, but do you really know what she did? You know what I mean? And it's so much looking across the street and what everything else is happening. And so just want to encourage folks as you start this, journey of success and hey, how do you get on the right road, looking outward? It's like also just making sure, hey, is your side of the street as clean as it can be? And I would just say for most of us, there's some cleaning up to do all the time, right? Even if you clean up your yard and get all the leaves off of it, sometimes more leaves come back, right?
Yeah, you don't get to put the rake away permanently, and when you said the word counterintuitive about relationships earlier on, and right now, I think it resonates that when you get on the airplane with one of your kids and the flight attendant comes on and says, when the airbags drop, in the case of an emergency and the airbags drop, put yours on first. And you're like, no. I'm like, but I asked the flight attendant the first time that happened, I said, that's not right. She goes, if you're dead, you can't help them.
Yeah. And
I thought, wow. So dead is an extreme. You can't help them. But if you're over on your side of the street and it's a mess and if you're not in a position, you're responsible for your side of the street because it puts you in a position to help the world around you with their side of the street. Yeah. But if yours is a mess, nobody's looking to you for advice. You know what I mean? I just woke up and walked out a train wreck. People aren't looking to be a train wreck. People are finding that all by themselves. And so, you've got to take care of you've got to do well for yourself so that that you can help others.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny that you brought that up. I was going to say we have one other graphic, but listen, it's just something to chew on, right? I get it. Like folks are like, oh, I thought I was going to get this McDonald's answer. It really is, right? That the C.S. Lewis quote. You have to give up yourself to find your real self. And so that is literally step one on achieving true success, not just happiness by buying a car or getting the job you want, because it's super fleeting, super fleeting. You'll be shocked 3 weeks into it. You're like, right? But that thing, when you have peace and you put your head on the pillow and you have that sense of peace in your belly, that's the success we're all striving for. It's not the money, the car. Those things are little accoutrements. Like, oh, but like, just encourage you. I just want as we start this journey, to step back and be like, hey, what are those things? What am I trying to get done? The first thing is inventory on your side of the street. How is it? Am I treating everyone ethically? If the camera was on, right? If it was a documentary, we all sucked into these documentary shows. If there was a 24/7 camera on your life, right? Yeah. All 24 hours. How's hour 22 and 23? You know, we all, you know, very few people are those. Hopefully, the bad people are in prison, right? Whatever. But most of us are good people. But the people that make it, the people that have true peace, go the extra mile, and they look in the dark places of their life and go, hey, this area, I don't love sharing it, and it's not pretty. But that's where all the peace is found. When you're able to sweep out those cobwebs out of the things that you're not proud of, that's when you start to have true peace. And then I would just say this, other people feel it. Like, we think we're fooling the world, but you're not. That mask you're wearing, it's not. When you take a big burden off your life, and whatever that is, like one by one, folks are like, oh, look at you. Like when people are engaged, that's a great one. You never notice when people are engaged, they're like bubbly. Like the week before the wedding, my wife she looked like a different person. She was, she was glowing. It was amazing, right? Because as we take things on our side of the street that a lot of folks don't know about and work to fix them, improve them, and get ready for the big success that's coming, that's when you have prolonged peace when you lay down to bed. Good?
Yeah, man.
Any last things, Mike, you want to share with the audience?
Well, I just think that, you know, as I can't share my little dog with you, a little dog too. You know, but just as we consider this, that it is a process, it's a journey. And so it's really, we're going to take this journey, we're going to sign up for it. We're going to decide who's going to be on the journey with us and who else we want to add along the way. And then we work on navigating. Right. We're literally going to come together week after week and talk about how we're navigating. And do we learn any tips about navigating better along the way? Yeah.
And listen, it's not perfect, right? That's the thing too. We're doing really hard. Type A's are really hard on ourselves. Listen, you're going to fall. There was a meme the other day I saw. It was like fell. It was like 5 and 2, right? So fell 7 times, got up 8 slashes, right? So listen, you're going to fail. It's fine. Dust yourself off. Apologize. Type A's, we're not great at that. Apologize if someone got hurt along the way. Super sorry. Was my intention. Do you forgive me? And move on, right? Let's go. We're gonna make mistakes. Humbly, you're like, yep, sorry about that. And you're gonna fall down, get back up, and make it happen. But that's really the journey we want to go on with the GovCast, whatever our new name is. We need a new name. So if somebody could get us I have PeopleCast, I have Cornerstone Cast. I need a new name for the show. That would be great. So but just encourage you to think about, hey, what are the dark places in my life that maybe I want to get cleaned up on my side of the street? And then, hey, who are the people around me that I can invest in altruistically and then start to create that sense of community around you? And that will put you on the sincere, true road to success. Amen? Amen. Good. We will see you next Wednesday live for our new name. Don't forget, look, if you haven't set up, go to i.help. Amazing, amazing platform. Cannot recommend them enough. Go to i.help. We will see you next week after the Super Bowl. Go Rams.